Hello, everyone. Warm welcome from Aerial Cities 2025 here in Dublin. I have the pleasure to be here with one of our sponsors, Thomas from uAvionix, to discuss about some of the challenges we're currently facing kind of in the ecosystem and how uAvionix can help overcoming those systems. So, Thomas, very warm welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's nice to be in Dublin.
Let's dive into it. So, first question then, why are connected networks so essential to the future of aviation, and how do you as a company support both the safety and the connectivity of those?
So at uAvionix, we've spent about 4 years deploying a network of sensors, which we call FlightStations. So we manufacture all of our equipment in our facilities in Montana. So we build our FlightStation sensors, and then we deploy them all across the United States. Those connected sensors are ultimately becoming the one connected picture for collaborative or cooperative traffic in the United States. So that on a aviation safety front, it's a multi-purpose or multi-use data network. So our biggest clients today for that data provided by those sensors is the FAA. So the FAA use this for what's called SAI, which is the Surface Awareness Initiative, as well as APRT. So in both cases, we've deployed FlightStation sensors. Those are then used in these cases for immediate traffic around towered, non-federally owned airports, as well as for surface surveillance. So that's two use cases of this data, but we can then repurpose that into the UAS space and also provide the same quality of data, which is very low latency, very high availability, but to bring it into the UAS space so that delivery companies or police departments or anyone that needs to integrate scalable beyond visual line of sight can use the same quality of data that the FAA are enjoying.
Perfect. Thank you. You touched on many quite interesting points. One of them was kind of the awareness and kind of how uncrewed systems can act in the airspace. So my next question would be, how is uAvionix helping to enhance the situational awareness for uncrewed systems, but also for crewed operations that use the same shared airspace and ensure kind of the visibility of each other?
Yeah, so that's probably the perfect example. So in the event of the way that the same network I was mentioning, Flightline, provides this data, we can say take a segment of data for a part of the country. Let's for the sake of argument say a segment of Dallas in Texas. Provide that low latency data to police departments in the region. This is a real case. We actually do this for them. And then that gets piped through a Cat21 API straight to their choice of UI. So in some cases, we work with a lot of different partners, such as the Airspace Link, Aloft, DroneSense, Motorola, and ultimately the safety in between the two different aviation environments there comes from the fact that their own ship is flying, and the situational awareness to enable that flight is being brought in from our data stream. So on the UAS side there, that's the link to the aviation safety. And then on directly in crewed aviation, these data networks be, as I mentioned before, to the FAA to separate aircraft.
Perfect. Thank you very much for these insights. And then, I mean, speaking, we dived already a little bit into automation, so I would like to dive there a little bit deeper, to understand your view on where the industry is and what the industry is dealing with, especially when we consider the current trend of BVLOS operations that now take more and more place, including kind of these systems, including automations. What do you see there kind of as the key challenges to maintain safety when we think about scales and safety at scale in that context?
So you obviously mentioned the automation there. The draft rule for Part 108 and the subsequent Part 146 begins to use the acronym ADSP. So it's an automated data service provider. So that automation portion there should allow the enablement of beyond visual line of sight operations at scale. What we play a part with, traditionally it would have been called an SDSP. Similarly, the new verbiage would call it an ADSP. But that automation is going to provide, we think, a very straight path to being able to grow beyond visual line of sight, something that's been limited and hampered a lot because it's been limited to waiver-based approvals. Hopefully, we will be one of many services. There's also things like tactical deconfliction and conformance monitoring, but within those, cooperative surveillance will be one of them. So we're very optimistic that the new 108-146 framework has automation at the core. And we're also very confident that this won't be they won't just allow any old service. There's going to be a path to certifiability for both the companies and the services. And so at uAvionix, we're very focused on making sure that as soon as this becomes a rule, we are the first ones in line to be certified as a company and the service to be approved.
Perfect. I mean, quite interesting. This very often in these discussions, when you start discussing kind of the technology and how things work, you very often end up with the regulator and the regulations in the end, right? So I think one other question on this would be, what role, from your perspective, does the relationship with regulators, but also the partnership with others, including, of course, regulators, but also airports, OEMs, play, and how important is it from your point of view to create a more connected and interoperable airspace so that we can see the operations at scale, actually?
So a lot of the success of what we have built is based on partnerships. A lot of these partnerships, in some cases, they are with ADSPs. In some cases, like I said, our biggest partner right now is the FAA, in terms of that we deploy a lot of sensors with them. But we equally work with partners in the public safety space. We work with a lot of utilities as well, so electrical utilities. And rather than seeing them exclusively as a client, they're also partners. So we have the data stack and we have the technology. We don't have the real estate or the physical infrastructure, on a pan-national basis. So we work in a far more creative way than other companies, in the sense that we forge these partnerships with companies that are leading in the drone space, but also have infrastructure. So we work with them to deploy our systems, and then in turn they enjoy the data benefits. But ultimately, we're reaching what I think is the only approachable way, is that we have shared infrastructure deployed with best-in-class partners, so that not every operator has to deploy infrastructure. Because I think this is the weakness that we've come to over a lot of years, is assuming that if you have one business, you deploy your infrastructure, and if I have another one in the same city, it might not even compete, I deploy my infrastructure. I think that now that we're reaching a position of scale, and of trying to scale fast, that's untenable. Instead, if we can play our little part in one automated data service provider, but other best-in-class operators can as well. And then an operator who's in the business of maybe delivering medical goods can have a marketplace to simply say, well, I have my contracts between my hospitals and my medical providers, I have my aircraft, and all the rest of the infrastructure is provided by best-in-class operators, rather than me deploying everything, because there's no return on investment that way.
Yeah. So I see you're very much ahead of things and really pushing to make things happen. That's very much great to hear. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you.
Great having
It's
you.
been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.